Monday Night Raw starts off with Paul Heyman. He's in a ring with Brock Lesnar. They're doing the contract signing for the upcoming match between Brock Lesnar and Obafemi. They end up doing a separate contract signing due to last week when they tried to do contract signing. Didn't go well due to shenanigans with Oba and Brock fighting each other. Security had to pull them away. So they end up doing a separate contract signing this week. Paul Heyman basically hypes up the match between Brock Lesnar and Oba, hypes up Brock Lesnar as his guy, hypes him up as, the guy that's going to put Obafemi in his pace and show everyone who Brock Lesnar really is. Then eventually we do end up getting Obafemi in his contract signing, him signing the contract, and Paul Heyman ends up interrupting, says a few words, mentioning Brock Lesnar, mentioning that, this little phase, this little momentum that Oba got, it's not going to last long because Brock is going to put him in his place, shut it all down. As dominant as Oba is, he's just not prepared to face Brock Lesnar at Mania. And he even offered him a potential spot of being with Paul Heyman in the future after he loses to Brock Lesnar. Obafemi does eventually respond back to Paul Heyman, and this was amazing. This was an amazing promo. The most underrated aspect of Obafemi in general is his promo work. People do not mention his promo work. Obafemi is one of the few people in wrestling where when he cuts a promo, I'm actually listening to him. Like, I'm fully engaged. He has my full attention. Nothing else matters. I'm fully focused on him. I listen to promos, yes, but there's times where there's certain people where I'm listening to you, but I don't care to listen to. I'm just waiting for the promo to end. I'm just like, I know where this is going. I'm waiting for the promo to end. Oba is the one where when he's talking, I'm listening. Like, I'm fully engaged. I'm only focused on him. It's very few people in wrestling in general that I'm fully engaged when listening to him, and Oba is one of them. Oba is very underrated on the mic. This was arguably his best promo in WWE, and he has cut some great promos even in NXT, but this was probably his best promo in his entire career. Starts off with Oba, ends up declining the offer that Paul Heyman made. He ends up mentioning how dominant Brock Lesnar is, mentions, the history of Brock, of how he's been this dominant force for so many years, but he ends up saying that Brock Lesnar isn't this unstoppable, unbeatable force that Paul Heyman says he is, because he has 4 weeks of history to prove that he's not, due to Obafemi constantly dominating him during this entire feud. Then he ends up saying that Brock is scared of Oba and that Oba will be the one that comes out on top in the very end. It does end with Oba mentioning that he is the only guy that's going to defeat Brock Lesnar. He's going to stand tall, and that Oba basically said he's the guy. He's basically the next guy of WWE, which honestly I ain't mad at, because Obafemi probably should be the next face of the company. I ain't gonna lie. When it's Roman, Punk, and Cody, when their time is up, man, I ain't gonna lie. I know they love Braun Breaker, but I ain't gonna lie, man. It's Oba, bro. Oba should definitely be the next guy, bro. Oba just has it. He just has it. He has everything you need. He has the aura. He has the theme song. He has the look. He has the mic skills. He has everything you want in a top guy. He does. He has everything you want. So this was an amazing segment. I hope he goes over at Mania. That's all they gotta do. This has been the best book feud for Mania. This has been. It's been the best book feud, and it's not even close. All they got to do is just stick the landing and have Oba win, and that's all they have to do. I'm fearful that they're going to have Brock win due to Brock Lesnar's history with black men specifically. Now, typically, that's with black champions, but still. But nonetheless, all they got to do is have Obafemi win. Let's just hope that is the case, but this was a great segment. We ended up getting a singles match between Lyra Valkyria versus Charlotte Flair. They've been continuing this thing between Bayley and Lyra, Charlotte and Alexa Bliss. They kind of put them into this storyline to have issues with Charlotte and Alexa Bliss, because originally it was the Bella twins that had issues with them for the past few weeks. Like a month ago, it was the Bellas and Charlotte and Alexa having issues clashing with each other. But since Nikki Bella or Brie Bella, I don't know which one, but one of them is dealing with a leg injury, and they've been off TV for the past 2 to 3 weeks. Ever since that injury happened, they replaced the Bellas with Lyra and Bayley now to interact with Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Lyra Valkyria and Charlotte Flair was a great match. This was actually a really great match. I didn't know what to expect from this match, because for me personally, Charlotte Flair has not been that great in the ring personally ever since she came back from her injury with the ACL injury. Now, to be fair, I expect her to be worse off of ACL injury, especially due to her age and stuff. But this was probably the best match she has had since coming back from her injury, and this was a great match. And I love that Lyra had a great showing in this match. Lyra Valkyria does pick up the victory due to the help of Bayley. Charlotte Flair had a pinfall over Lyra, but Bayley ends up lifting her leg, which ended up having some momentum during the roll, which caused Lyra to end up getting the pinfall, and Lyra picked up the victory. And of course, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss were mad. They start shoving and pushing each other, but nothing really happened afterwards. So this was a cool segment. I didn't mention the match that happened. I think I didn't mention the match that happened on SmackDown because there's really nothing to really tell. I know that Bayley got distracted and lost to Alexa Bliss, but I didn't really think that furthered a story. This one, I kind of think it kind of furthers a story a bit. Also, too, due to the fact that Bayley cheated instead of getting distracted. I think that's a bit of difference. So, very interested how that match plays at Mania. I am a bit conflicted because I want Bayley and Lyra to win, and due to them winning on tonight's show, that kind of tells me they're not winning at Mania, but they do have SmackDown because the tag team titles typically tell that story on Raw and SmackDown. So we gotta see how SmackDown plays out before we can come to any real conclusions. But I'm pushing for Bayley and Lyra to win those tag team titles because they really deserve it, and I hope that's the beginning of them actually getting pushed, get some momentum because they've been booked. Both of them have been booked poorly for months. So I hope this is the beginning of potentially of them getting booked well in the future, but we'll see how this all unfolds. We end up getting a quick Liv Morgan, Stephanie McMahon segment. Stephanie was supposed to cut a promo, but she ends up getting attacked by Liv Morgan, and that's really it. This has basically been the main focus of their feud of just them attacking each other. Liv Morgan did say a few words about her mom again. This was good. I like this. I'm not mad at it at all. Look, sometimes feuds just need to be simple. Sometimes, because Stephanie and Liv, they have a story, but they don't have a deep history. So sometimes you just need them to brawl because their history isn't that deep for them to really go at each other as you would want to on the microphone and stuff, plus the language barrier. So sometimes you just need a simple them brawling every single week. This is really what we needed from Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill, but for whatever reason, they decided to do it with Liv and Stephanie. But nonetheless, it made the feud good. This has been a solid booked feud, personally. It's been one of the more interesting things Stephanie has done since being on the main roster, and especially as World Heavyweight Champion. So who's going to win this match? I'm very conflicted. I do think Stephanie will retain, though, because based off the story they've been telling, they've been mainly telling the story of Liv Morgan constantly needing the Judgment Day constantly helping Liv constantly got to hide behind her family, the Judgment Day, and then Liv Morgan constantly bringing up Stephanie's mom, mentioning her past, of her being down from, basically started from the bottom and being upset where Liv started off. So I think they're telling the story of Stephanie being the baby face, of her coming from nothing and her finally getting to the top, having to overcome. Like, I really think it just makes sense from a story perspective to have Stephanie win, but I would be mad if Liv Morgan wins. But overall, this feud has really surprised me. I've been enjoying every segment they've been in, even with the short amount of time, but this was overall good segment. Also, that Liv Morgan video, that Liv music video, please never ever play that again. Look, I like Liv Morgan, but that shit sucked. I'm sorry. I'm not a fan of that music video. I'm sorry. The song is terrible. Please do not use that as her theme song. Keep her theme the same, because I know WWE, they're the types to use that as a thing. Do not do that. Don't use it at Mania. Do not do that. Keep her original theme, because that music video, that song is terrible. Please do not change her theme at all. We end up getting Gunther. Gunther was about to cut a promo, but he ends up getting sneak attacked by Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins did eventually ends up getting the microphone. Ends up saying that, look, you attacked me back-to-back weeks, so I finally give you a taste of your own medicine. And then he ends up wondering what is Gunther reasoning for attacking him. He wants the reasoning for Gunther's attacked him, and he wants Gunther to get in the ring. Gunther gets in the ring. He explains his reasoning. He ends up saying that for years, you constantly call yourself the best. When I was on the roster, when I was World Heavyweight Champion, well, when he was World Heavyweight Champion, he constantly called him the best, but we all know that's a lie, that I am the best in the world. He ends up saying that when he was World Heavyweight Champion, Seth was nowhere to be found. Seth never challenged him. He was a bit too busy dealing with Paul Heyman, and that he wants to prove to the world that Seth is a fraud, and that him and Seth are not even in the same conversation, and that he basically is clearly the better wrestler. I like it. I like that Gunther explanation is very simple. I like that he mentioned them being World Heavyweight Champion, how they never crossed paths after World Heavyweight Champion when they was World Heavyweight Champions, because I always wanted them to cross paths. I always did, especially for the championship. And when you think of that World Heavyweight Championship, you do think of Seth Rollins and Gunther, because they are the two guys that held it the most. Gunther held it twice. Yeah, Gunther held it twice. And I think Seth Rollins has held it twice as well. So I could be wrong about Gunther. Maybe I'm wrong about Gunther, but it feels like Gunther has held it twice, but I could be wrong. But nonetheless, when I think of that title, I think of Gunther and Seth Rollins. So I'm very interested in this feud. I like his explanation. It's very simple, not that deep at all, but it's a very simple story of proving who's the best and wanting to be the best. Gunther should definitely win this match. As much as I like Seth Rollins, I do think Gunther needs the victory more, especially if you're going to retire three legends. You kind of need to win. You shouldn't be losing anytime soon. But nonetheless, this was great. They did brawl afterwards. Seth Rollins did get the upper hand, so I'm assuming that means Seth Rollins is losing at Mania. But who knows? But nonetheless, this was short, simple, and I like it. We do end up getting CM Punk and Roman Reigns, the final interaction we're going to get between these guys. And it starts off with basically Punk and Roman basically admitting why they really hate each other. Punk basically ends up saying that the reason he hates Roman is because Roman is basically in the position that he always dreamed of, being the top guy, main eventing the WrestleManias. He's upset that Roman was the guy that was handpicked while he had to struggle and fight for every single thing that he has ever gotten. And he wished that he basically wished he was Roman Reigns, getting all the spotlight, getting the special treatment, being in the main event, being acknowledged as the top guy. Then Roman ends up responding back, ends up saying the reason he hates CM Punk is because the fans acknowledge CM Punk, the fans love CM Punk, the fans adore CM Punk for years. Even when CM Punk was there, they constantly chant his name. He wants that in the future, and that's why he hates CM Punk. I kind of like this promo. I don't love it, but I don't hate it as much as others. But to be honest, I don't think there was anything much CM Punk and Roman could really do to really make the feud better, because the feud is already not that great due to WWE fumbling it. So I don't think there was anything they could have done on this go-home show that would have made us really be like, oh yeah, this is an amazing feud. So I'm cool with them going this route. Plus, it got them to both be vulnerable, to be honest with themselves and be honest why they really hate each other. And they both spoke some truth, because that is true. Punk always wanted to be in Roman's position, especially during, 2011 and onward when he really got popping. He wanted to be, he felt like it should have been in that position, which he kind of has an argument. He probably should have been in that position. And then Roman feels the same way. It makes sense, because Roman, for the longest, when he was getting booed during his big dog days, couldn't get over with the fans due to poorly Vince McMahon booking. Yeah, this is straight facts. They both spit straight facts and them being vulnerable. Then it ends with both of them, of course, saying that they're both going to stand tall at Mania. I thought this was an overall good segment. I think Roman probably will win, but I can see either guy winning. Now, I do want to acknowledge that a lot of people keep mentioning that the reason that they don't want Roman to win is because he's a part-timer and he won't be there and to defend the championship, which I understand, but can we stop the narrative that CM Punk is this fighting champion? We need to stop this narrative. Do people not realize that CM Punk only has four title defenses? He has held the title for 163 days. He only defended it 4 times. 2 of them is against Finn Balor. One of them ended in a DQ with AJ Styles, and one of them was Braun Breaker. Like, we got to stop this narrative that just because you're a full-time champion doesn't mean you're a good one, okay? We got to stop this narrative. That's too many people have this narrative that just because you're there full-time, that means you're a good one. No, you can still not defend your championship and be there full-time. Look at Julia. Julia doesn't defend her title at all. Like, we got to stop this narrative. I get it with Roman. I understand it. But we got to stop this narrative that just because you're there full time, that means you defend it all the time. No, that's not how WWE works. Like, we got to stop that narrative. But nonetheless, this was an overall good show. There were some things that I didn't mention because I just think that they was that important, or there wasn't much to say. Like, Asuka and Kyrie had a match. Kyrie did win, but I don't know what to say about that because it's not going to be at Mania. I don't even know it's going to be I don't know what they're going to do with that story. Asuka did interfere, so they're going to continue it. But again, it's not going to be at Mania, so I just don't know what to do with that information. I don't know what that really tells for the story. We end up getting a tag team match for 4 out of the 6 members of the IC ladder match. I know it was a great match. I didn't watch it because, again, it didn't really further a story, so I didn't really mention it. But overall show, I thought it was great. I thought it was a really good show. Really enjoyed it. You guys let me know your overall thoughts and opinions down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my content. But yeah, that's it.